Hi, everyone. Welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. On the screen here, you can see what the new government nationalised rail service is going to look like in England and Wales. Now, let me just give you some background to this. So, as you know, like many countries across the world, the government has more or less privatized the railway service. It looks after the rails, the running of the trains, and does all the administration work. It also looks after the railway stations. However, the actual trains that run and the stations of those running trains are operated by private train companies. The government has decided, in its wisdom, that it wants to take back control to make the railway service completely nationalised and public as it was in the 1970s and 80s, before the time of Margaret Thatcher. This is what the train is going to look like. You can see there, it has bits of the British flag all over it. And it says here, branding and logo for Great British Railways, Unveiled. And we're going to read a little bit about this. Now, just to give you some further info, the railway service in Scotland has already been taken back by the Scottish government, and the central government have started to claw back the railway companies as their franchises come up for renewal. Let's read about this. The government has unveiled its branding for Great British Railways, GBR, making a step forward in plans to nationalise the railways. In the past year, the government has taken 3 passenger rail franchises back into public control, something Labour promised in its manifesto. The new livery and branding uses a red, white, and blue colour scheme to mirror the Union flag and will be used on GBR trains, at stations, and on its website and app. While the budget includes plans to freeze regulated rail fares in England next year, the government has previously said it cannot guarantee customers will see lower prices under renationalisation. Let's just pause there for a moment. It's very important to give you the background. One of the reasons why the government is taking back the railway is because it feels that the costs are too high and the system is very confusing for people using trains. So the cost here, saying they can't promise lower fares, is an important statement. It goes on to say, we'll just continue, the rollout of the design, which was created in-house, I'm guessing that means by the government, is expected to take place gradually, with passengers beginning to see the trains across the national network from next spring. Through December, the design will be displayed at stations including London Bridge, Birmingham New Street, Glasgow Central, Leeds City, and Manchester Piccadilly. Yeah, well, I don't think these stations will all be rebranded. At least Glasgow Central won't be, because, of course, it's looked after by ScotRail, a completely different company. So I don't know how they'll do that, but no doubt we will see this new branding somewhere. It says here the Railways Bill, that's the law, which will allow for the creation of the new railway company, GBR, is currently making its way through the House of Commons. The government has said it is renationalising the railways so it is owned by the public, delivering for the public and not for private shareholders. But it's also said it can't guarantee low costs. Okay, GBR will bring the running of passenger trains and infrastructure under one umbrella body. The government has said it will combine 17 different organizations and cut through the frustrating bureaucracy and lack of accountability that continues to plague the railways. The rollout of GBR will also include an app which will let customers check train times and book trains without booking fees. Disabled passengers will also be able to use the app to book assistance. And then it goes on here. Several train companies had been nationalized under the previous Conservative government. Yes, I remember that. Northern TPE, Southeastern, and LNER. Yeah, they were having problems, I think. So the government stepped in and took them back, and now they're doing that with all of the train services. It says here there are now 7 train operators already in public hands, accounting for about a third of journeys, with franchises being acquired as their contracts have expired. In the past year, Greater Anglia, South Western Railway, and C2C have been nationalised, with more expected to follow in 2026. Yeah, if we just look further down there, there's a picture of um, the old trains, which were used, I think, up until mid 80s. I think. Yeah, brings back memories. Right. So you can see here, Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander said the new design isn't just a paint job. Well, it is, isn't it? And that it represents a new railway, casting off the frustrations of the past and focused entirely on delivering a proper public service for passengers. Um, yes, Jacqueline Starr, Executive Chair and Chief Executive of Rail Delivery Group, a collection of Britain's train operators, welcomed the government's commitment to improving services for customers. We will continue to work closely with industry partners to support a smooth transition to Great British Railways, she said. And there we are. That's the story of what the railway service is going to look like moving forward. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this, and let's talk